Hey Seekers, I am bringing something very new to you that I'm also going to be doing once a week. I am going to dub this Weekly Miracles, maybe? Weekly Miracles story time. Um, so I found this book before Christmas. And this book was actually at the Dollar Tree because I go there quite often to go get things, right? This book is actually something I feel that would be very beneficial to you as well as the collective, simply because it touches bases on everyday miracles that happen to individuals such as you, yourself, your friend down the ways in the other city. To me, I've had many miracles happen in my life, and I'm sure you've had something very similar to what these people's testimonies have had to say. So, it is with great honor to start this series with you and share these people's experiences. So this is the book I'm talking about. It says Chicken Soup for the Soul, Everyday Miracles by Amy Newmark. So I want to go ahead and read to you the first thing. Also, I want to note that the only reason why that I wanted to do this and the reason why I'm following through is because when I was speaking out this idea to somebody at the dialysis clinic I go to, because most of you know I go on hemodialysis treatment for kidney failure. It was at 11:11 when I realized that I had spoke that idea to share these personal stories with you guys, on my Instagram. And I mean, 11:11, you already know, holds like a really, really, really close place to my heart. Anytime I see 11:11 and I have an idea, it's usually my follow through to move through with that idea. So, yeah, needless to say, let's go ahead and read this first story. Okay, I fixed my camera enough, but yeah, let's go ahead and read it. So, the first story I have to share with you for this week's weekly thing would be The Brush of a Wing. So it says here, hope is faith holding out the hand in the dark. It says, this is the person's story. I don't think it says the name of the people on here. Oh, okay, never mind. Well, anyway, so let's get started. I'm a Boy Scout, venturing crew leader, so I've been trained to prepare for any challenge encountered while camping. I will never forget one early autumn campout when I did everything wrong despite my training, leaving me desperate for a miracle. Our camp was 300 acres of heavily wooded hills. A rural road, a little more than a lane, bisected it. The boys were camped in and around the farthest cabin, and the girls were in the buildings closest to the parking lot, yet across the road. The dining hall, the only building with plumbing, sat atop a high hill behind the lot. There was a small winding drive, on one side, but most campers took the direct route over a stream and straight through the woods up the hill. We arrived Friday evening and had activities until late Saturday night. I'm an early riser and always the first one to awake on a Sunday to make coffee and start cleanup. This particular weekend, I woke just a few minutes at 3 a.m., just, a little bit past 3 a.m., with an urgent need for a bathroom. I know y'all have been there, okay? Middle of the night kind of thing, and you don't want to get up, but you got to get up to finish your business, right? I often lecture the youth on safety procedures, such as never wandering alone, always having, a flashlight, and letting someone know where you are going. I reach down for my shoes and the small flashlight I leave on one of them for a quick access. My shoe is empty, I sighed, remembering the small boy who had borrowed it earlier throughout the day. I pulled on my shoes and slipped out of the building without waking anyone. Right? Sounds like his first mistake. After all, I was only going to be to the porta potty a few yards down the cabin. On my way there, I changed my mind and decided, I'm sweating, it's hot in here. I decided to change my mind and go to the dining hall to use a real bathroom. I stumbled down the steep rutted drive and walked along the road. This was a long way, but easier to follow in the dark. I trudged up the stony drive, used the bathroom, and then fixed a cup of tea and sat on the porch enjoying the peace. The cloud cover was heavy, and I couldn't find a single star in the heavens. As I sipped, I pondered the silence. No crickets, no frogs, not even a scurrying mouse made a sound. I felt completely alone. And it wasn't all that bad. I returned my mug to the kitchen and went back outside. I looked down the rocky drive, contemplating the long walk back to my cabin. I was exhausted, needless to say. It had been a busy weekend, and I'd only had a few hours of sleep. Plus, it was frustrating to know my cabin was directly across from where I stood atop the hill. Returning the same way I had come was about 4 times longer. Yet it was dark, but I had walked the shortcut hundreds of times. Chiding myself for being too cautious, I headed straight down the grassy hill towards the stream. The parking lot has lights, so I found the footbridge over the stream and made my way across the sandy field filled with a few dozen cars. I was at the far left at the end of the lot. A thicket hid the road beyond, but this end had a small set of steps up to the road. I found the first steps and crossed the road. The brush on the other side was heavy, and it took several minutes to find the other set of stairs. They were overgrown, and when I reached what should have been a small clearing with at least 4 paths leading like wheel spokes, it seemed like the brush and trees enveloped me. I stumbled along in what I hoped was the right direction, but there was no light, and the path was so covered with wild brush. I was no longer sure anymore. After several minutes of fighting the branches, I decided to go, backtrack and take the longer but more sure route. But now I couldn't see where I'd just come from. I felt the branches, hoping to find a bent or broken one to testify my passage, but found nothing. I started to panic. I was lost within a football field's length of my cabin. What kind of example would that be? Then I realized all the safety rules I had ignored. I didn't want to wake anyone to go to the bathroom with me, so not only did I go alone, I have left no note or note to anyone where I was going. I had no flashlight, which would have prevented my blind rambling, and I had followed a poorly marked trail. I had been overconfident and was lost in the dark. Unsure what to do, cold and frightened, I sat down and tried to regain my composure. In my mind, I spoke a prayer, asking for literal guidance. I even chuckled at the ludicrousness of my situation. A BSA crew leader lost within the sight of her cabin. Sight that is. Once the sun came up. Still, sunrise was several hours away, and I didn't really want to sit on the cold ground for that long all night. The silence was no longer restful, but now oppressive. I stopped looking up at the blackness and lowered my head into my hands, and as I fought back tears of frustration, a velvet touch brushed down my cheek. Startled, I opened my eyes to see a pure white feather, a foot long, lying on the ground a few inches away from me. It resembled an arrow, and I stretched out to pick it up. From this point, with my eyes at ground level, I could see the path beneath the overgrowth. I was only a few yards from the cabin, and that single white feather had pointed me in the right direction. In a moment, I was lying on my bunk, the feather tucked under my pillow. It is my reminder that miracles can arrive in silence, and without any witness, I was saved from a cold and frightful night, but most of all, embarrassment. I now always carry a spare flashlight and my feather. Oh, the person's here. Anna M. Lowther. Isn't that neat? Isn't that cool? Like how we really can find our answers within silence. Whenever they say we're supposed to pray or speak to God or whatever higher power you believe in, speak to the universe, we have to sit in silence. And that is so crucial among our personal journeys, simply because we're not going to find our answers that we need in our mind, in our thoughts, in our hustle and bustle. We will find it when we allow it to come in through silence. So I really hope you enjoy this, and I really hope you guys stick around for these weekly story time things that I'm going to start doing now, as well as subscribe with me. I'm going to be doing that every Thursday coming January 22, so I'm excited to bring that back to you guys. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.